Sometimes it feels like the sun will never rise, like the birds will never sing again. Believe in a power greater than what you are going through. When you don't know what to do, keep breathing.
That's right. When you don't know what to do, just keep on breathing. From the City of Angels in Los Angeles, welcome to all my listeners out there in Radio Land. I'm Dave, the Caregiver's Caregiver, at caregiverdave.com. Normally along with my lovely co-host, former mayor of a California beach town, Debbie Peterson, but she is not with us today, so we will miss her sorely. But we're also coming to you live and on demand 24/7 on numerous syndicated radio and podcast networks on 26 global audio video platforms, including iHeartRadio, iTunes, YouTube, Spreaker, SoundCloud, Vimeo, Stitcher Radio, Blog Talk Radio, the list goes on. And we were just raised from number 2 to number 1 caregiver podcast on FeedSpot out of thousands, and we're real proud of that. And number 1 on Player FM, number 1 on caringvillage.com, the number 1 caregiving podcast on the internet. We have an especially exciting show planned for you today. 3 wonderful guests who will be joining me and Sherelle Mims November 10th and 11th on a virtual caregiver symposium. I don't know what would we call it, but it is a virtual caregiver event, and we are all speakers there. So let's start with Keith Demps of Orlando, Florida. He's co-founder of KLD Consulting, which specializes in self-care, caregiver wellness. He's a co-creator of the Demps Caregiver Wellness, that's an acronym, Caregiver Wellness Roadmap. Keith is a nationally certified caregiver by the American Caregiver Association. His wife, Dr. Kat Demps, and co-founder of KLD Consulting, is a multilingual, nationally certified speech language pathologist, linguist, certified autism specialist, certified public health researcher, and certified in the practice of cognitive rehabilitation. She is ACA Advanced National Caregiving and Assisted Living certified, and Kat is founder and director of Dr. Love's Healthcare 501c3 K&K Services and Dr. Love's Integrative Nutrition and Lifestyle Medicine PLLC. Man, these people have a lot of letters after their names. That's very impressive. And my third guest is Monica Stewart, the Director of Operations for D.E.M.P.S. She oversees the administration of Music Academy, Technology, Training, and Russell Tech Business Incubator, RTBI. She has a BS in economics and her master's in business administration. She has an extensive background in banking, human resources, insurance, healthcare, and the nonprofit sector. She seeks to provide career development and encourage the educational journeys of adult learners and their families. And we will be talking to them in a second, but before we get started, I want to thank my last week's guest, family administrator and home care consultant Mary Beal, Dr. Attell Lords, and Tony Gitlis, all also speakers at the November 10th and 11th Caregiver Symposium event that is virtual. And so let's see, we interviewed 3 last week, 3 this week, plus me, so it's 7 out of the 20. So that's not bad. You're just going to have to tune in and hear the rest of them. They were just too busy or could not open their schedule to come on this show. So enough of that. Keith, Kat, Monica, so great to have you all on the Caregiver Day radio show.
Thank you.
You as well. Thank you so much for the invitation.
And I always like to ask my guests just who are you and why were you placed on this earth? I'll start with Keith.
Oh my goodness. I'm a Southern gentleman, Dave. I'm so used to ladies going first, but if it's
not
okay.
On this show. I think they've acquired quite enough power here. Not enough, but well-deserved power. So they are equals now.
Well, I thank you so much, Dave. I am Keith Demps, originally from Orlando, Florida, and my wife and I now reside in Texas. Wonderful Texas, beautiful Texas. My goodness, been caregiving for quite some time now. Met my wife when I was in the middle of caregiving for my mother, who is no longer with us now, but we thank God for that. Quite a number of years, over 52 years, should I say. And now we have been happily married over 3 years now, and we reside here in Texas, as I mentioned before, caregiving for her beautiful parents.
And Dr. Cat, how would you describe yourself? Basically, I think he did some of your work for you, but what don't we know about you?
He did. He's my better half. So I'm Kat Demps, and I'm a wife, a caregiver to my mother. As stated, we moved from a 3-year stint in Jersey, working in the ministry as well as healthcare and telecommunications in Manhattan to caregive for my parents. My father is no longer with us as of August of this year. So we are full-time caregivers and trying to help others self-care without sacrificing their own health.
Awesome. And Monica, same question. Who is Monica Stewart? No relation to Martha Stewart, I am told.
Right.
But go ahead.
So during the day, I am the director of operations of a nonprofit where we are really trying to change the demographic in technology. We also provide music to students and also a business incubator. So really trying to change the demographic because of disparities in lending and overall resources to minority businesses in the Louisville area. On a personal level, I have been a caregiver for my stepfather and have been a caregiver for my mother for the past 10 years. And also, my husband was diagnosed with stage 3 lung cancer
Oh,
3 years ago. He's now in remission. So I've been a caregiver for several people. And with my business, Transitions Caregiver Solutions, or TCS, want to give the resources to individuals that are going through similar situations, not just those with aging parents, but it could be a parent with a child with autism or a disability, but getting them connected to the resources that they need to create a pathway of health for that loved one or make them comfortable if they are in the last stages of life.
awesome. Now, I met Miss Sherelle Mims, who is hosting this event on November 10th and 11th. And it's an amazing event. She told me last time she had 400 caregivers tune in, which is not an easy task to do, to get that many caregivers, because many of them, they don't put on their oxygen mask on first. They're giving till there's nothing left to give, and they're burning out, and they don't have time to care for themselves. But I don't know how she did it, but she managed to get 400 caregivers to come, and I bet she beats that number this time. So thank you, Keith and Kat, for introducing me to her. And now I will be a keynote speaker as well as you all, I should say y'all. And why don't you tell me, Keith and Kat, how you met Sherelle?
Yes, Dave, great question. So it was a LinkedIn connection. I saw Sherelle on LinkedIn advertising for the event and reached out to her, and the rest is history.
Wow. So both of you have spoken there at the last one. She does 2 a year, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So how did that one go? It had great attendance, huh?
Oh, it was wonderful. I mean, what we love the most is the interaction with the questions while we were live from people, which is very good to connect with, to see where people's heart is at, what they're going through, who you're talking with. So it was wonderful.
This is like Saturday Night Live, only it's Saturday morning live, huh?
Exactly.
Kind of stressful for the producer, but very beneficial for the guests who are listening. Monica, how did you meet Sherelle?
Yes, a lady came into our business incubator office and wanting some resources. And she told me about her business, and then I told her about my business. And she said that Sherelle was organizing a conference and that I should reach out to her. And I did. And I'm so thankful that I did. It's been a great connection to several caregivers. I've talked to several people across the country that I wouldn't have met had I not made that connection. So very thankful to be here.
She's a great networker. I haven't met too many people in the caregiving circles who are as good a networker as she is.
Mhm.
And I'm excited. This is probably the best event I have done with the most potential, other than radio, of course, because you never know how many people listening on radio, sometimes thousands and sometimes more. But to actually do a virtual event, and I hope one day it can be an in-person event, because she actually did a billboard in Delaware, and we're all on the billboard. It's a beautiful billboard. I'm sure it costs a lot of money, and I'm just so impressed. She really knows how to put on an event.
Yeah.
So let's get down to this. Keith and Kat, what are you guys going to talk about at the event? Give them a little teaser.
Thank you so much, Dave. So what we're going to talk about is what we live each and every day and what we see happening throughout the world, United States, in homes and families, and that is caregiving for loved ones, but the caregiver themselves. And what we're going to talk about is the caregiving as it tends to caregiver's life, how to take care of one's health and life without sacrificing it, and taking care of oneself, because we sometimes, well, not sometimes, we do lose ourselves in caregiving. And then on average, when the caregivers, the loved ones, that's whoever they're caring for, if they pass away, then we're lost trying to find out our identity. Who are we? I mean, where did we go with our life from here? Because
Uh-huh.
we're so much of ourselves into others that we tend to forget about ourselves.
Exactly. Yeah, well said.
And how do you deal with caregivers yourselves? I mean, besides taking care of your parents, um, how do you interact with other caregivers out there?
Yeah, that's another great question. So we have our own caregiver wellness roadmap. That's what the acronym D.E.M.P.S stands for. And we've done corporate trainings, we've done one-on-one coaching, but mainly we run into people during our activities of daily living. We end up finding ourselves running into people who are in the same situation. It's a very informal conversation. And usually it's either tears or cheers that we've connected because they found another source of social support.
Uh-huh. That's
Yeah.
great. And Monica, what will you be talking about at the event in November on the 10th, 11th, 10th and or 11th? I know I'm on the 10th.
I'm just going to share my overall caregiver journey, really give participants the ability to really access things that they would need for their loved one. I know that with my family, there wasn't any previous planning, and so we didn't have those conversations until it was too late.
Uh-huh.
Really talking about building a support team, creating those legal and financial documents, and really talking about when there's health changes.
Uh-huh.
Does that need change as far as like, can that person still stay in the home, or do they need to be moved to a facility? Really talking about, just kind of echoing the Kemps, is reducing that compassion fatigue. Because myself, I was in depression and didn't know it until went to a physical. So really understanding to build that system, a team of teamwork to kind of take some of the stress off the caregiver, and to initiate that self-care and to start planning as soon as possible. And because you want to get those things set up for your family before it's too late.
Mm.
Mm.
So you talk about compassion fatigue. Is that the same thing as caregiver burnout, or is it different?
I think it's the same. Just you
Just a
get,
different way of saying it, huh?
yes, right, because you get kind of, and you don't realize it until you basically medically or physically break down. So just really being aware of that.
Well, I don't want to put you on the spot, but I will. Can you come up with 5 ways that a caregiver can reduce their compassion fatigue? With the most
Sure.
important first and then going down?
Right. So to really keep yourself healthy, share the responsibility. Everything doesn't have to be on you. So creating that support team to ensure you take some mental breaks and identify other people that can maybe come in, even if it's just for an hour or two, for you to be able to go out and run some errands. And then find those things that you enjoy, whether that's dancing, yoga, whatever that is for you, and to do that as much as possible when you have the time. Even at work, I just when it's warm outside, I just take a brief walk, whether that's 20 or 30 minutes, just to get out of the office, just to kind of clear my head. I think everybody needs that time.
Keith and Kat, you talk about caregiver burnout, as do I. What are your top 5 tips to help caregivers reduce their burnout?
Wonderful question. The first part of it is first identify that you're burned out. Love what Monica just said, because a lot of times we're
Get
in
out
a
of
situation.
denial.
Yeah, number 1, get out of denial. Number 2, spiritual help. There's always a source of spiritual help, is because when we're in caregiving, the biggest thing is we have to rely on something that's greater than us. That's one of the things that my wife and I touch on with Demps roadmap, is identify that. And then the other part is develop, pivot, maintain, and learn how to pivot and have sources that's there. And
Yeah. So you asked for 5, and my husband, he just summed it up well. So it's really 5 strategies, because there's different things that you can do, but the how is the same. And so those 5 strategies is, once you do your needs assessment, develop a self-care plan, execute it, maintain it, pivot as needed, and then source out what you know you can't do. Like what Monica said, have a sitter come in, have a gratitude journal or meditation time, an hour where you just shut off your phone. Whatever the what is, that's fine. That's personalized to you. But the how is that Demps wellness roadmap that we stick with. We try to stick with.
And also, too, Dave, if I may say, the key thing for us is we have to know our capacity. If we do not know our capacity in everything, not just caregiving, in everything, then we're all over the place. We're spending most of our life pouring out and not being charged up, poured into.
Yeah. Well, and to answer the same question that I asked you guys, 5 tips for burnout, from my experience, because I've got 34,000 caregivers that I deal with. And after a while, you realize there's a common theme going around. 30% of them, I don't think I can help them. They're just set in their ways. They're just bound by negativity, and they complain, and you try to help them and let them know that caregiving can be fun. Caregiving can be rewarding. Caregiving can be, wow, you get to do this. This isn't forever. It's only temporary. And you're going to look back when it's over and you're going to miss it, So I came up with a CARE formula, an acronym, CARE. C, communicate with your friends, Don't just isolate yourselves. You want to be able to maintain those relationships. If you used to go to lunch with somebody, continue going to lunch with them. If you used to go out at the gym, continue doing that. If you used to get your nails done, if you're a woman, well, even men do it too, just keep doing that. Don't pollute your relationships with your friends by bringing the junk of caregiving. When I say the junk, the venting, every caregiver has a bad day. It's inevitable. In fact, it's guaranteed. Bad things will happen. Maybe you'll have a diaper accident, or maybe, your care receiver is just very stubborn and very obstinate, and you're at your limit. Whatever those ventings that need to be, don't tell your best friends, because they're going to stop coming by. Nobody likes a Debbie Downer. Tell your support group. If you don't have a support group, find a support group. Great one at caregiverdave.com. We got 34,000 people who would love to listen to you vent, and then they'll vent to you. You're venting to each other, and it's a safe place to vent. Nobody's going to get hurt. A, ask for help. No, I got this. Are you sure? People are actually offering to help. Hey, do you need any help? No, I'm good. But why are they turning down help? I don't know. But maybe they don't want to feel indebted to the other person. Maybe they will feel weak. No, I am a Marine. I could do this myself. I could handle this. Whatever the reason is, I'm sure there's a million reasons you can't. You can't do it yourself. You will kill yourself if you try. 30% of caregivers die trying to do it themselves. If you're caring for an Alzheimer's patient, it's 40%. So you can't do it. You need to ask for help. Even the airlines tell us in the event of an emergency, put your oxygen mask on first before you help your loved one with their mask. Otherwise, you both will burn out. R, rest. Caregivers need 8 hours rest every single night. The average caregiver gets 2. I can't survive on 2 hours sleep. I don't know how they do it, which the problem is they're not doing it. They're burning out. So get your 8 hours rest every single night. Now, if something's happening that's preventing you from doing that, then fix it. If your loved one is getting up every 2 hours, needing to go to the restroom, get some diapers on them, put a little porta potty, do whatever it takes. If they keep asking for a drink of water, tell them, well, you're going to have one drink, but the rest, you can't because you got to wait till morning. Tough love, whatever it takes, because your rest is more important than theirs, okay? And then finally, E, eat healthy, nutritious food. Don't eat junk food. Junk food has chemicals, processed ingredients, sugar, all that stuff will kill you. And to throw in a number 5, we'll talk about guilt, the dangers of guilt. There was a sitcom in the 70s called Sanford and Son, and it was a great show. I loved it. It was about a caregiver caring for his elderly father who was very stubborn, very obstinate. It wasn't easy to do it, and he was always coming up with these harebrained things, and he would try to get his son to do stuff for him that wasn't in his best interest, and he would use guilt. And he says, oh, it's a big one, Elizabeth, I'm coming for you. And Lamont would work every single time. Lamont would fall for it. And that kind of guilt will kill you. It's like being handcuffed to your loved one 24/7 in caregiver prison with no possibility of parole. Don't do it. So these are the kinds of things that we will be talking about at the Caregiver Conference that's coming up on November 10th and 11th. You guys want to add anything to this as we wrap it up?
Yes, sir. If I may say that is so important because I like what Monica said earlier. I'm going to go back on that part. Is she said that she was in depression and she did not know it. And that's one that's crying out for help in the midst of everything that's going on. And not knowing it is very key to the point of identifying that. And you just spoke about it. It's all in the how to as well. And the biggest thing that my wife and I speak about the most is the spiritual part about it. So,
which is very necessary. Not enough people do that.
Very necessary. Won't get into all that, but it's very necessary.
I am a Christian, and I couldn't be doing this if I didn't trust God, that all things work for good. You have a bad day. Hey, this is happening for a reason. God has given me the grace. Whatever it takes for me to get through this, I'm going to get through this because he promised he would. And guess what? Every morning I wake up the next day and I'm still alive. I got through another day. So you see, you tell yourself, I can't do this. I can't do this. Yes, you can. If you're going through it, he's given you the grace. He's given you the strength. He's given you the courage to get through it. And all things happen for a reason. Got anything, Monica, to add?
Yes, I agree with everything that you all said. And really for families to start having those conversations before it's time to have those conversations. I know that was really a pitfall for my family, and I want that to be different. I started to have these conversations with my children early. They're now 23 and 20, but started having these conversations early so that they understand and that they make sound decisions when it's time for them to have that, and to put those things in place so it's not trying to find documents. That was literally what we had to do. We were trying to find documents. We were trying to understand there was no will. There wasn't enough to cover the funeral for my stepfather because they wouldn't have those conversations with us. So it's so important for families to have those conversations. I actually met with a family last weekend because they have a mother that's going through cancer treatment. And I was like, you need to have these conversations now. What are her wishes? Does she have a DNR? Does she want advance directives to really have those conversations before you need to have those conversations?
DNR, that's do not resuscitate. Very important. because I've got one because I don't want to hang around if they're, planning on putting ventilation tubes down my throat or, feeding tubes and, even the paddles, if they, what are you bringing me back to? What's my quality of life going to be? These are all decisions that you have the right to make yourself. Don't trust anyone else to make these decisions for you. If you trust a caregiver, then fine. But, a lot of times we don't know who's going to make these decisions. So it's got to be put down on paper. So many things, long-term care. I mean, would you, let's just go, Keith. Why should someone tune in? What is it, 6 hours? I know it starts at 8 a.m. Pacific, which is 11 p.m. a.m. Eastern for the conference on November 10 and 11. Okay, so it's 8 o'clock Pacific, 9 o'clock Central, I think 10 o'clock Mountain, and 11 o'clock Eastern, and it's going to go for 6 hours. Am I right about that?
Yes, there's a break.
So 5 p.m. Eastern it will end. So why would and why should and why could a caregiver take time away from his duties, maybe set it up in advance so that someone comes in to help out so that you have your undivided attention to watch this conference and some great resources? Why should they do that? What are they going to get out of it? Will it be worth it to them? Go ahead,
Yes.
Keith and
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Convince them because maybe they're not sold yet.
Well, if they're not sold, then do us a favor. Take a piece of paper and put down all of the things that's happening in your life currently that you're dealing with. And then also put down some of the things that you used to do that you would like to do, but your life has been impacted by it. And then somewhere along the line, put in there what is going on with your health personally that you're having to pivot in your life as it pertains to your health. Why am I saying that? Because I'm speaking personally about my life. I have torn ACL, MCL on both knees, and I'm having to care, not having to, but we are caring for someone that we dearly love, but we're learning how not to neglect ourselves. And so many of us that's going through something in our life right now, there are going to be so many people like Monica, like Dave, and like different others that's going to touch your life some way, somehow, to bring an opportunity for you to have choices, to have outlets, and impact your life greatly.
Yeah, thank you. That's a great form of self-care. Your question was the answer. It's not why should you attend? You can't afford not to attend. It's self-care, number one, and number two, it is making time out for yourself so that you have a social support and a network of resources to care for others that you're caring for.
That's the famous truth that's been out there in business. There's a cost if you do, but there's a cost if you don't too. And weigh the costs, if you don't take care of yourself, if you don't receive resources, you may die. You may get sicker than the one you're caring for or need a caregiver of your own. That's a heavy cost. What's the cost if you do? Well, you got to give up 6 hours of your life. What would you rather do? Hello? Monica, you got something to add before we say goodbye?
Yes. I was told once that we should all be funneling. Someone should be pouring into us and we should be pouring into someone else. So I'm thankful for my support system. I'm thankful for my spiritual base. I'm so thankful that God has brought me here. And I think this is also part of my purpose, is to help others that are going through this journey, to let them know that there is a light at the end of the tunnel. And we have to take that time to care for ourselves, because we may not be here if we're not here taking care of ourselves as well as our loved ones. So
that's right. And when you don't, when someone is pouring into you and you don't pour out, yes. Well, that's the definition of the Red Sea. The Red Sea has all these rivers going into it, but no outlet. So it's the salt is 10 times saltier than the ocean. Nothing can live in the Dead Sea. It just dies. It's a nice place to swim because you can float easily, but you need to let it out so that it can keep going.
Yes.
What do they call that in the Disney movie? Lion King? What is that? Something.
Yeah.
The circle of life.
The circle of life. Thank you. I knew somebody knew it. Well, all right. It's amazing how time flies when you're having fun. How can someone get a hold of each of you if they want to learn more about what you do? Start, Monica.
Yes, you can reach me at easing, EASING, transitions @gmail.com. And my cell number is 502-599-2198. I would love to connect to any caregivers. So thank
Whoa,
you.
she must be serious. She's giving out her cell number. Okay, Keith, Dr. Kat and Keith.
Yes, KLDconsulters.com. Again, that's KLDconsulters.com.
Very good. And I'm at caregiverdave.com, and that's your one stop for everything. And just remember that all our live shows become recorded pod and video casts on your favorite platforms. My number one selling book is Secrets from the Hammock, Uncommon Wisdom for Uncommon Times, spreading wisdom all over the world. Available wherever books are sold. And also my free membership website, caregiverdave.com, where you can also schedule a free 30-minute initial coaching call. Talk about whatever you're struggling with. 30 minutes of wisdom can often resolve a debilitating problem. Again, caregiverdave.com. And don't forget my Caregiver Dave Facebook online community. 34,000 caregivers, lots of tools, resources, videos, this radio show, and much, much more. And did you know if you click the like or follow button on whatever platform you're watching or listening to this interview on, it helps us reach even more caregivers by improving Google's search engine algorithms. So a true heartfelt thank you to all my listeners out there all over the world for tuning in every Wednesday, making us the #1 caregiver radio show on the internet. So until next week, same time, same channel, may God richly bless you all. Bye-bye. Hey everybody, it's Dave Nassaney, otherwise known as Caregiver Dave. And I'm coming to you live from this beautiful Acapulco villa, which I like to say is the perfect prescription for caregiver burnout. And I have a unique opportunity to bring 14 burned out caregivers up here so that they can decompress and do all the things that they need to do. But this is just a bonus. It actually comes with the 6-month Zoom coaching program. It's a one-on-one consult with me, Caregiver Dave, to identify where you are and where you need to go. It's 6 monthly small group coaching sessions to smash any obstacles between you and your ideal vision of what a caregiver needs to be and caregiver success. You get my 3 free books and instructions on boundaries, grief, self-care, organization, asking for help, learning how to say no, avoiding burnout, avoiding depression, avoiding perfectionism, avoiding isolation, avoiding resentment, delegation, team building, how to have fun, how to have no guilt, the importance of gratitude, and after caregiving when you're no longer a caregiver. But this 7-day bonus is absolutely free. It comes with the coaching program that you pay for. And the food is all inclusive. I'm telling you, 7 days and 7 nights here is amazing. This is truly paradise. And I highly recommend it. For more information, go to caregiverdave.com. That's going to send you to my other website. And if you want a shortcut to get there immediately, just go to acapulcodave.com. Thanks again. I look forward to seeing you in Acapulco.
Sometimes it feels like the sun will never rise, like the birds will never